Wysteria, energy, twister.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Legends of Britany, and obviously now we're on Morvan Fights the King. One day Morvan sallied forth to encounter the King of the Franks himself. The king brought no fewer than 5,000 mounted men-at-arms. As his host was about to set out, a great clap of thunder resounded in the vault of heaven, and the king's nobles perforce regarded it as a bad omen. "For heaven's sake, sire, go not hence," said one of them, "since the day has begun with such an evil token." "Impossible," was the royal reply. "I've given the order, we must march." That morning, on the other hand, the sister of Morvan said to her brother, "My dear brother, if you love me, seek not this combat, for if you do, you will certainly go to your death. And what will become of me afterward? I see on the shore the white seahorse, the symbol of Britanny. A monstrous serpent entwines him, seizing him round the hind legs and the body with his enormous coils. The sea steed turns his head to seize the reptile. The combat is unequal. You are alone. The Franks are legion." But Morvan was already beyond earshot. As the hermit of the wood, Helion, slept, 3 knocks sounded on his door. "A good hermit," said someone, "open the door. I seek an asylum and help from you." The wind blew coldly from the country of the Franks. It was the hour when savage beasts wander here and there in search of their prey. The hermit did not rise with alacrity. "Who are you to knock at my door at this hour of night, demanding an entrance?" he asked. "And by what sign shall I know whether you are a true man or otherwise?" "Priest, I am well known in this land. I am Morvan Libre, the hatchet of Britanny." "I will not open my door to you," said the hermit. "You are a rebel. You are the enemy of the good king of the Franks." "How, priest?" cried Morvan angrily. "I am a Breton, and no traitor or rebel. It is the king of the Franks who has been a traitor to this land." "Silence, recreant," replied the hermit. "Rail not against the king of the Franks, for he is a man of God." "Of God, you say?" "Nay, rather of the devil. Has he not ravaged and wasted the Breton land? The gold that rings from the Breton folk is expanded for the good of Satan. Open, hermit, open." "Not so, my son, for should I do so, the Franks would surely fix a quarrel upon me." "You refuse?" shouted Morvan. "Good, then I shall burst into your cell." And with these words he threw himself against the door, which creaked ominously. "Hold, my son, hold!" cried the hermit, in tremulous tones. "Forbear, and I will open to you." And seizing a torch, he lit it at the remains of the fire, and went to open the door. The severed head. He unlocked it and drew it back, but as he did so he recoiled violently, for he saw advancing upon him a terrible spectre, holding its head in its 2 hands. Its eyes seemed full of blood and fire, and rolled round and round in the most horrible manner. The hermit was about to shriek in terror, when the head of the apparition, after laughing grimly, addressed him. "Come now, old Christian, do not be afraid. God permits this thing to be. He has allowed the Franks to decapitate me, but for a time only. And as you see me now, I am only a phantom, but he will permit you yourself to replace my head and my shoulders if you will." The hermit stammered and drew back. This was not his first encounter with the supernatural, which he had good reason to dread, but like all Bretons, he had come under the magnetism of Morvan, even although he believed that the king of the Franks was his rightful overlord. So, steeling himself against his natural timidity, he said, "If God permits this thing, I shall be very willing to replace your head on your shoulders." "Take it, then," said the decapitated Morvan, and with trembling hands the priest took the Goric trophy and replaced it on the Breton chief's shoulders, saying at the same time, "I replace your head, my son, in the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit." And by virtue of this benediction, the phantom once more became a man. "Morvan," said the hermit, "you must do penance, heavy penance, with me. You must carry about with you for 7 years a robe of lead padlocked to your neck, and each day at the hour of 12 you must go fetch water from the well at the summit of the mountain yonder." "I will do as you desire," said Morvan. "I will follow your very saintly wish." When the 7 years of the penance had passed, the robe had flayed Morvan's skin severely, and his beard, which had become grey, the hair of his head, fell almost to his waist. Those who saw him did not recognize him, but a lady dressed in white, who passed through the green wood, stopped and gazed earnestly at him, and her eyes filled with tears. "Morvan, my dear son, it is indeed you," she said. "Come here, my beloved child, that I may free you of your burden." And she cut the chain which bound the shirt of lead to the shoulders of the penitent with a pair of golden scissors, saying, "I am your patron, Saint Anne of Amour." Now for 7 years had the squire of Morvan sought his master, and one day he was riding through the green wood of Helian. "Alas," he said, "what profits is that I have slain his murderer when I have lost my dear lord?" Then he heard at the other end of the wood the plaintive whinnying of a horse. His own steed sniffed the air and replied, and then he saw between the parted branches a great black charger, which he recognized as that of Libre. Once more the beast whinnied mournfully. It almost seemed as if he wept. He was standing upon his master's grave. But like Arthur and Barbarossa, Morvan Libre will yet return. Yes, one day he will return to fight the Franks and drive them from the Breton land. We have sundry imitations here of the sources from which Villemotgui drew a part, at least, of his matter. There are resemblance to Arthurian and kindred romances. For example, the incident which describes the flight of young Morvan is identical with that is Arthurian saga of Percival la Galo, or Galois, when the child Percival quits his mother's care in precisely the same fashion. The Frankish monarch and his court, too, are distinctly drawn in the style of the Chansons de Justice, which celebrated the deeds of Charlemagne and his peers. There are also hints that the paganism against which Charlemagne fought, that of the Moors of Spain, had attracted the attention of the author, and this is especially seen in the introduction of the Moorish giant, so common a figure in the Calvonian stories. So that, I guess, is what happened when Morvan did indeed fight the king. He was beheaded, but his head was sewn back on, so it's okay. He still lives. Thank you for listening to this folktale, and many blessings.
Wysteria. Energy. Twister.